This is the phase 2 dynamic warm-up for nashFIT 1. This does require you to have a 10-meter space. Many of the exercises can be done in place, but you should have the option to move from a cone to a cone that is approximately 10 meters apart from one another. Again, if your spaces are confined, you can use smaller distances and modify the program accordingly. The first exercise on the list, which you're going to choose 4 to 6 of, or 6 to 8 movement patterns in phase 2, is going to be high knee, march, march, freeze with a hug and an ankle circle. So it's going to be march, march, freeze. The thighs are roughly parallel to the floor. When you get there, your ankle circle, and you try and extend, so full knee extension and hip extension. So you actually want to get your knee to fully extend. So find the balance, extend the knee, Shelly. Good, no, on your support leg. Good, and fire your glutes. Good, so you do, that way you can get proper extension pattern. Good, we'll do one more rep. Excellent, good. And then the next one, you're going to face forward towards the camera. Good, you're going to do an alternating step back and reach. This one was also in phase 1, so step back and reach. You plant the heel into the ground, which stretches your calf. Good, and you reach with the same side arm. You can alternate sides, obviously, depending on the reps that you've set aside for this. So this is a pattern that you would likely do in place. The next one's march, march, freeze again, so we go back to the marching pattern. This time we're going to do a open hip or transverse plane. So it's march, march, freeze, find your balance. You go long in the right arm and long in the left arm. So you want to make sure both arms go long. So unbend your elbow. There we go. Nicely done. Shoulders compress. And that way you should get some opening. So you actually should feel like there's opening in your adductors and that contralateral arm or chest. So it's going to be important to move through it. Again, when you're balancing, you're always going to anchor through the tripod of the foot. And you're looking for as much symmetry in your torso or neutral spine as possible. Although it's not often the case that you're going to have perfect neutrality. The next one we're going to commute across starting at the ball rack. So we're going to actually have what's called a karaoke. So you're twisting from the trunk, so you're twisting through the hips and the arms are contralaterally driving. Good, and you just change directions going back and forth. You can be relatively quick in the feet. You are on the balls of the feet when you do this, but again, the pace will be dictated by the condition of your client. The next one's an easy butt kick. So you're going to again start moving, very nice and light. Again, your client will dictate how high it is. You can usually watch this pattern to see if the heel height is the same on one side versus the other. Good. Excellent. And then we're going to take that up a notch and bring in transitional balance. We're going to go kick, kick, freeze. So it's kick, kick, freeze into a butt. Knee drops straight down. Back, try not to arch through the back. So there's 2 things that need to happen. One, your heel gets towards your butt. Your knee points straight down. You bring the knee in towards the midline so both knees almost touch one another. Good. Next, we're going to get back in place. We're going to do what's called a reach and glide. So we're going to work through abduction through the frontal plane. So you're going to reach the leg out. Lots of weight stays on that trail leg. And you glide across. You notice you reach the inside edge. When you glide across, you end up in single leg balance with the other foot ready in order to be able to give you stability. Good. Drive through. Keep your back flat. Keep your abs tight. Excellent. Good arm drive pattern to go along with it. That can be progressed to what's called a shifting sumo squat. So this one does commute. So you shift, shift, push around, switch to the other side. So you're loading now a little bit more dynamically. Good, and be careful not to have your torso lean forward too much. So it's often you'll see the torso lean too far forward, and it's important to stay as vertical in the torso as possible. The next exercise in the list, we're in the dynamic range of motion phase now. It's called a lunge, so it's a 3-way lunge. So she's going to lunge towards me. You're going to rotate. Good. The second one is the opposite arm drives over top while the same side arm presses down. So we'll do one more of that, sir. So you press, do one more. Good, so you're going to push the arm up and press the arm down simultaneously. And then the third one is going to be nose to knee. So you're going to get a hamstring stretch in the front leg and a calf stretch in the back leg. So you're going to show one more rep from the side. Just going to rotate towards me. Good, leaning forward slightly to get a little bit more hip flexor stretch. Good, nice open side bend. So notice the arm drive pattern. And notice how the heel goes straight into the ground to the best of your client's ability. Good, the next exercise on the list is called the Spider-Man step. So we're going to do that sideways to the camera. Good, back flat, abs tight, shoulders are engaged like a nice strong plank position. You're going to step the right foot forward. Good, and then what you do is you drop the shoulders, get as much thoracic extension as you can, and you extend through the opposite extended leg. So you try and get as much knee extension as possible. Slowly step through to the other side, so you use some transitional plank strength. Good, engage through the shoulders. Again, looking for symmetry in terms of the length of the step. Notice that her heel is almost in line with her hand. Good, step back, you pike up. Good, and you press back hard through the hands to get length in the lats and to get thoracic extension, and you walk the heels into the ground. So one knee bends and the other heel walks down straight to get more calf stretching. Good. The next exercise on the list is called a walking straight arm and leg cross crawl, or some people call this a Frankenstein walk, but the difference is that you're going to cross crawl. So the arms come over the top. over the top and rotate down. Good, so you can do both patterns. You just demonstrated both ways, where the arms come up simultaneously, or they go cross crawl, which is the way I prefer to do this. Good dorsiflexion on the front leg, leg relatively straight, nice and strong. There is some flexion in the back that's going to normally occur as well. Now we're going to move into sort of the second phase of the dynamic warm-up. Not all clients will need this plyometric activation or stretch shortening cycle portion, but this is where the stretch shortening cycle comes in. So this next step, what we're going to do is you're going to do 2 drop squats. So you're going to do drop squat, good up into your toe, drop down, good partial range of motion, but relatively decent speed, good. And then the advanced version of this is called a line drop. So what you're going to do is you're going to go hop, hop, skier drop. So you hop over an imaginary line and then drop into a, good, there you go. So the skier drops, the feet stay relatively equidistant, the feet hit the ground at the same time. It's toe-toe and then lock down into your heel. So the heels are on the ground when you land sideways on that third drop. Next exercise is called the line twisting hop. So now we're going to go into transverse plane, twisting through the hips. Good, you're driving from the core here, and the glutes are activated, so the knees aren't flopping in towards one another. So it's very important to not have, what I say, women, don't take your dress off, okay? Good, and then the next step is going to be, as the cycle drops, we're going to show this from forward and backwards. So the first one's going to be forward, is opposite arm and leg drive pattern. Notice the finish position is a partial lunge. Good, turning sideways. You'll see that it's not a full lunge. Good, there's a slight forward lean. The foot is planted on the ground. It's a relatively flat foot run, and it's really core driven. So the arms drive and legs drive the core in this. The next one's called the lateral bound, bound, freeze. Again, we're going to show it from 2 angles to show torso angle. It's bound, bound, freeze. Again, working on that inside edge that you would have gotten with the reach and glide. So this is a progression of the reach and glide. Good. Turning sideways and watch the torso angle. Good. Excellent. Good. Restabilize every landing. So this is a deceleration with stabilization. So it's important when we do these deceleration patterns that we hold for a 2 to 4 count. Good. The next one, the last on the list, is called the jump squat, but we're going to start with a hop, hop, drop. So the easy version of this is hop, hop, drop. Good. Hop, hop, drop. You can commute this forward or backwards for that matter. You want to have so that the knees aren't falling inwards to one another. It's toe, toe, dropping down the heel, and then the progression is actual full-on drop jump squats. So you'll notice the arms are driving up in the direction of the intended movement, which is vertical. Good. When you load down, you load and land softly. And that's the end of the dynamic warm-up.